Hello friends and welcome to yet another episode from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I semi-regularly talk about different stories from the Star Trek universe. 30 years and 3 days ago a new episode of Star Trek The Next Generation was aired called The Battle, and these are my honest opinions about it. The Enterprise was contacted by a Ferengi ship, but when they arrive to the rendezvous point, they get a strange and simple message: wait. Picard is a bit nervous about it, and he gets a strange headache. Dr. Crusher says that headaches are a very rare thing in the 24th century, so she examines him. And remember this scene because we will see it 500 more times again in this episode. But finally the Ferengi contact the Enterprise again, so he goes to the bridge. They talk, only to agree that they will meet an hour later, so Crusher can examine Picard's head again. I honestly hate the structure of this episode. When finally something happens, the Enterprise sensors notice a different Federation ship approaching, a ship which doesn't reply to their hails. When the Ferengi Damon Bok and two of his officers get to the bridge of the Enterprise, they explain everything. Some 9 years ago, Picard, then captain of the USS Stargazer, encountered a strange ship, which instead of answering their hails started an attack, so the Stargazer destroyed the ship in self-defense. Picard used a trick now commonly known as the Picard maneuver. He went to full warp for a short time, which made it look like the ship was for a moment on two places at the same time, and while the attacker attacked the wrong ship, the real ship destroyed it. However, the Stargazer itself got heavily damaged, and its crew had to abandon it. The Ferengi call Picard now the hero of Maxia, based on the system where this took place, and they found the wreckage of the Stargazer and brought it to Picard. The two Ferengi officers are shocked when they hear that Bok wants to give the wrecked ship to Picard as a gift. They were under the impression that they are going to sell the wreckage to him. When the Enterprise crew beams to the bridge of the USS Enterprise the battle bridge of the USS Enterprise D, the bridge of the Stargazer, Picard's headache returns. So he orders the rest of the team to bring his stuff to his quarters on the Enterprise and returns to the ship. Now, the following part of the episode is pretty hard to describe, because everything what happens is that Picard has a headache, everybody looks a bit worried, Dr. Crusher tries to help, and Picard rests for a while. And the same thing happens again and again and again, just with some small alterations. There is one new subplot started, but it actually goes nowhere. You see, Data finds a strange log entry in the Stargazer logs where Captain Picard says that he mistook the antenna of the other ship for a weapon and that he fired first. Now, this could be very important, and I actually thought that it will be very important for the whole story, but no. In the next scene where they discuss it, Data finds out that the log entry was faked. There was one scene between in which Picard starts to doubt himself. What if he indeed destroyed the ship without a good reason, managed to block it out of his memory, and now the guilt is the reason of his headaches? But they don't develop it at all. As I said, in the next scene, Data says that the entry was a fake. What a wasted opportunity. Now, after what seems like an eternity, Picard pretends to feel good, orders Riker to let the Stargazer loose and beams there just as Wesley finds out that Picard's mind is under control of a strange signal coming from the Ferengi ship. You know, I start to see why so many people hate Wesley. Anyway, after going through the stuff they brought to Picard's room from the Stargazer, they notice a huge ball, because the first season of TNG was obsessed with huge balls. The Ferengi first officer, Mr. What's-his-name, says that it's a mind control device and that it's illegal, when suddenly the episode starts to be really good. The thing is that Picard is now on the bridge of the Stargazer, where Bock explains him that the captain of the ship which Picard destroyed 9 years ago was his only son, and this is his revenge. He basically brainwashed Picard, so now he thinks that he's in the Battle of Maxia again, but this time he won't be fighting a Ferengi ship, but the Enterprise D. Which means that Picard will be killed by his own crew in self-defense, or Picard will destroy his own ship and crew and will have to live with the knowledge of doing it for the rest of his life. Either way, Bock will be the one who will laugh the last. And that's actually a pretty good revenge plan, I like it. Makes me wish that I had such big balls. I mean, of course, these mind-controlling balls. So the Enterprise, under the command of Commander Riker, has to come up with some great plan. They assume that Picard will use again the so-called Picard maneuver, and he does. But they are now prepared for it, and catch the real Stargazer with the tractor beam. Riker manages to talk Picard into finding the glowing ball and destroy it. After Picard shoots it, it explodes, a stuntman in a bedwig jumps to the camera, and the story ends. Picard is normal again, he beams back to his current ship, and we are informed that Bock got arrested off-screen by his first officer, and the story has a happy ending. I don't really know what to think about this episode. I remember clearly that when I've seen it for the first time as a kid, I absolutely loved it. But now, when I rewatched it, I was kind of meh. The main problem for me is that there doesn't seem to be enough story for a 50 minutes long episode, so the running time is padded with boring and repetitive scenes which tell us only stuff we already know. The brief subplot about the possibility of Picard being a war criminal is very interesting. I think that it should be the main focus of the story. The crew trying to find out if their captain is a hero or a criminal sounds much more interesting than Picard saying that his head hurts over and over again. The hallucination scenes are great. I love how they shot it, the transparent crew members, the transparent flames, the disturbing close-ups. I really love when they do stuff like that. It was directed by Rob Bowman, and I really like his episodes. He's a very visual director, for a lack of a better term. Even if his episodes, which have weak plots, at least look interesting. This is the second episode in which we met the Ferengi, and I have to admit that they look much better here. The angry rodents from the previous episodes were funny. These Ferengi start to slowly feel like a real race, but it will take a long time until they will be fully developed as this great race which we all fell in love with in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. They still unfortunately didn't show us the inside of their ship. Just like in the previous episode, all we see from their ship is just a huge white wall. Not sure if they didn't have the budget or the time to do something interesting, but I'm glad they did change it in the later episodes. This might sound like I hate the episode, but that's far from truth. I was just kind of disappointed by it, mainly by the fact that it's worse than I remember it. The best part is the final act when Picard is commanding a ship of ghosts and prepares to fight the Enterprise. This was the only part of the episode when I wasn't really bored. But as I said, even the parts of this episode which I found pretty boring looked interesting, thanks to the work of the director. So, how to rate it? Well, on my scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is absolute garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 5 out of 10. While it's a great episode compared to some of the previous episodes of The Next Generation, much, and I mean much better episodes will come in seasons 3 to 6. But as always, those were just my opinions about this episode. Feel free to write your opinions down in the comment section. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you have some spare time, you can watch any of my previous videos on my channel. Right now I'm doing these quick thoughts on videos about different episodes from Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Discovery, but I'm doing different stuff as well, for example video reviews of different models released by Eaglemoss, or videos comparing the visual effects of different versions of the episodes of classic Star Trek. So thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye.